looking at my window, but I know they see foes. I they pray for my enemy, may they fit to see.
We appreciate you being a customer with us. Why did you choose Digitex?
I don't even know you guys from anywhere, but I think it was just your director I saw. And I saw a man with a vision and someone that's focused, and that was why I came into it. It was even the K2 recently that also uplifted my spirit, like, you know, these guys are not local champions, so they are going everywhere. There's something I observe about your estate. They are not too big, you know, outrageously big, where those things you guys promised about your smart estate, I've been thinking, with the big estate I see around, I don't know how you guys want to get that, you know, bring them to reality. But I think these are manageable size that can bring about implementation of these things you talked about. You guys are you're visionary, and I keep saying that, you know where you're going to, and you're focused, and that's why everyone wants to go with people that are focused and people that know what they're doing, and that's why I'm investing.
He's telling smart investors like you watching us, you know, to take advantage. You don't wait to buy land, you buy land at waste. Thank you so much, sir.
That's the word, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So many power, le badouche play lamande. I have Santus and the Torias. I have Ramande. I have Abido Sheka. I have never touched those ones. I have Sepre. When it comes to power, I have Rebadu. I have Gandu Kagandusa. I have Ndaboski Paus.
Door open.
I've actually come and experienced it live, and I'm blown away. Everything so perfect. It's not as if like a film trick, like, you know, all the things that has been sent to me.
Many, many kilometers. All day. Now only day for my son. Calling me for my life.
I have a client on site that came to inspect. She already bought this place, but she came to also inspect and see how far we've gone. And let's hear what she had to say about this place.
I haven't seen all the building. I've actually come and experienced it live, and I'm blown away. Everything so perfect. It's not as if like a film trick, like, you know, all the things that have been sent to me, well, no, they were not real, but I can see it real, live and direct, and they were all very perfect. The finishing and everything, they're all good, and I really love it. Honestly, she has been telling me to upgrade, and I'm thinking about it now.
She's upgrading, she's not thinking again.
Thank you for Jessica. She has been my support and everything.
Thank you so very much. We're glad to have you here. Thank you so much. So you've heard it all. If you're thinking of investing in Jasper Estates, I'm not even saying anything. You heard from her. Yeah. Call the number showing on your screen. You can also book an inspection. We are always on site 24/7. Yeah. That's the standard we run over here. We'll be waiting for you here to have you, and so that we can create that beautiful experience with you. Signing out from Jasper, Jessica Martins. Bye.
James, have a good day. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon where I am, actually evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get to meet one another. Let's introduce ourselves. I'll go first. My name is Mayawa Adigoke. I put a bit about myself in the chat box. Today, I'm so excited, and it's my pleasure to be the host this evening. Well, it's evening where I am. So I'm in Dubai, for those of you who do not know. And I wear many hats. I'm a journalist. I'm a public speaking, personal branding coach. I'm an event organizer. I'm a people person. I'm a child of God. Like, there's so much about me. But today I'm just excited to be here joining live from Dubai. So that's a bit about me. You can find out more in the chat box when I do share. Let's get to meet you. Where are you joining from? This is a global conference. Yes, it's global, it's virtual, So that means there's no restriction to where you can join from. So tell us where you're joining from. Are you like me? Are you joining from Dubai? Are you from Nigeria, from Canada, from UK? Like wherever, just share in the chat box. I encourage you, when you're introducing yourself, feel free. Nobody's going to charge you, okay? Introduce yourself properly, tell us what you do. You never can tell. Your next clients might just be in the chat box, okay? Feel free to share like a link to your LinkedIn, your Instagram. So, I told you that I do personal branding, coaching. So that's me giving you a little bit tips for you to use whenever you're on a virtual event or whether you're at any event. Take the opportunity to properly introduce yourself, talk about what you do, what you offer, how you help people, and share something that helps them connect with you. So I'm reading in the chat box now. First, I will share something about myself, and then I'll just read what you're sharing as well. This is a good time to send the link to your friends, your colleagues, your spouses, your friends, like anyone that you want to see win and prosper. Send them this link right now. The more the merrier, because you know what they say, you can't be the only one that is prospering in your group. There's a problem there. So be the person who's going to lift up others, get them to level up with you as well. So don't grow alone, grow with other people. So I'm in the chat box now. I see Ibrahim Adedeji from Lagos. I see Adeyefa Michael from Ondo State. You're welcome. That's my mother's state. I see Omoyemi Oladiran from Nigeria. I see John from Benue. I see Joshua from Lagos, Blessing from Lagos, Olayinka from Ojodu Bega. That used to be my area back in the days. You're welcome, everybody. I've shared a bit about myself. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram. I practically live there, okay? So I see Anima Shaon from Lagos. I see the founder of Sisioni Gele Ashoke. Wow, lovely. That's Olayinka Deniji. Bravo. See, I love the people who are taking my advice and sharing links to their platforms. Fantastic. Listen, as you're just dropping your own information, just share the link for this call with other people, okay? And once you share the link, I want you to put in the chat box and say, I just shared the link. Let's celebrate you, because we need to celebrate people who are givers, okay? It's not just about giving money or giving land. Sometimes it's about sharing opportunities. So if you have shared the link with anybody, just drop it in the chat box and say, I just shared the link, so that we can celebrate you as well. I see more comments. Omoyemi, oh, fantastic, Omoyemi, thank you so much for sharing. And I see that you're a vocational tutor, a writer, fashion designer, skincare formulator. Oh, wow. Please help me. How can I get glass skin? Help me, help my career. Welcome, everybody. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day to learn more about family finance. So welcome to this, today's edition of the Global Family Finance Conference. As I said, it's virtual, it's global, so you can join from anywhere. Yeah, I see someone from Manchester. Welcome. I see that just one person has shared the link, okay? Let's be cheerful givers. Share the link with other people and drop in the chat box. I have just shared the link so we can celebrate you. So welcome, everybody. It is a delight to have you. For those of you who are joining from Nigeria, those who are joining from the UK, some of us who are based in the UAE, it's a beautiful day to gather and learn together so that we can all prosper this year, 2024, not just as individuals, but as family. All right. So make sure you keep engaging all through the conference. Keep engaging in the chat box. Share your ideas. Share whatever you're inspired by. Drop it there. If you want to celebrate the speaker, use the chat box. Feel free. Let's engage. That's what it's about at this conference. It's not just one person speaking. It's everybody sharing and engaging all together. So now I want you to share with me what you've learned before. Some of you have joined previous days. It's my first day, so I'm looking forward to learning as well. But share with me, what have you learned in the past days of the conference? Drop in the chat box. What are some of the, powerful nuggets that you've taken away? What are some of the actions that you've taken? So some of you have already taken action. You've executed on some plans. I would like to know how this has been beneficial to you, to your family. Share in the chat box. Let us learn together and share with me, because as I said, it's my first day. So I really want to learn from you before I learn from today's speakers, right? So quick announcements. We would like you to post your testimonials across social media. So all of those beautiful things you've learned during the conference and that you still keep learning, we want you to share those testimonials across social media. And you can use the hashtag GFFC 2024 as well as hashtag GFFC. And of course, that stands for Global Family Finance Conference. So again, it's GFFC 2024 or GFFC hashtags that you can use when you share your testimonials across social media. Encourage people to be a part of it. Encourage people to join. Encourage them to find the videos. Encourage them to be a part of the family so that we can prosper together. As you know, it's free, right? All of this value given away freely. Freely, you have been given. Freely, you should give somebody else. And don't forget to join the WhatsApp community. IT is going to drop the link in the chat box. Feel free to join that community. Again, it's free. A lot of engagement goes on there. If you've got any questions, you want to connect with the organizers, you can do that over there. So let me just pop into the chat box for a quick second and see what people are saying. Omoyemi says, I learned that the way you make and manage money will determine the financial destiny of your family life. Absolutely. Okay. I learned, and this is from Fumilayo, I learned that poverty is a mindset. You cannot cast it through prayer and fasting. The first thing you need to work on is your mindset. Absolutely. I'm someone who's very passionate about mindset. And if you see in the introduction that I put earlier about myself, I'm a public speaker. So mindset is the beginning of everything. The mind is a battlefield, and every battle is first won or lost right here in your mind. So if you believe that you can be wealthy, it starts here. If you believe you can never be wealthy, it also starts there. So before we give you the tips, the tricks, the information, the strategies, the tools to help you build financial wealth for your family, we need to work first on your mind. So fantastic lesson. Omoyemi says, okay, yeah, I read that already. I have Sekinot, Mrs. Ladikov from Minnesota. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining. So I want to see more comments. What have you learned? Sahid says, I've learned that it is dangerous to have money without direction. Absolutely. Omoyemi says, I also learned that I must pursue financial intelligence with my spouse. You know, it is, it two has become one. So you can't just run that race alone. You have to come together with your spouse so you can sort of maximize potential. There's only so much one person can do. But when you come together, just like, you know, some of our favorite couple at the conference, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, as well as my sister, Mrs. Akintayo, both of them coming together to build their empire. And we've come to learn from them. Fantastic. Guys, are you excited? I want to know that you're excited. Drop a comment to say, I am ready to learn today. Okay? Are you ready to learn? Are you ready for our speakers? Drop in the chat and say, I am ready today. Today is my day. I'm not going away without powerful nuggets, without powerful insight, without powerful revelation, because I believe that you need a revelation. And sometimes revelation is made such a spiritual word, but revelation is not just a spiritual word. You know, you've got people who have created amazing innovation, like, you know, somebody who come up and build Apple, you know, let's build the computer in people's hands. That's a revelation. You've got to see that things like, oh my God, this thing doesn't exist, but I can see it so clearly. That's a revelation. Okay, so if today is your day of revelation, put it in the chat box. Today is my day. Fantastic. So I see that we're ready. We're ready. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll introduce our first speaker, IT. Over to you. IT? I think IT likes my face and my voice. They're like, you know, let's just keep this woman here. Thank you so much.
Welcome to GTextland, where every corner is a masterpiece waiting to be discovered. Step into the serenity of Jasper Estate, your haven in Ibeju Lekki. Feel the sand beneath your feet at Beryl Beach Front Estate, your coastal retreat. Experience the charm of Sardius Farm City Estate, where nature and community blend seamlessly in Api. Discover elegance at Sardius Estate in Ijebu Ode, where modern living meets tradition. Live in luxury at Beryl Fortis City, Kurudu's premier destination for urban living. Find your dream home at Prime Rose Estate, where sophistication meets comfort in Ibeju Lekki. Experience luxury living at Sardius Estate in Port Harcourt, where every detail is designed for your comfort. Escape to tranquility at Jasper Estate in Isheri, your peaceful sanctuary. Discover perfection at Sardius Estate in Guzape, Abuja, where luxury meets lifestyle. Indulge in elegance at Beryl Polo Estate in Asaba, where every moment is a celebration. At GTextland, we don't just sell properties, we secure your future. Welcome to your new beginning. Dr. Stephen Akinteo.
Welcome back, everyone, from that short break. It is still this amazing conference called Global Family Finance Conference, and we're just about ready to bring on our first speaker. But before we do that, how would you rate this conference so far on a scale of 1 to 10? How has it been for you? Why is it important to be a part of this conference? Why is it important to you to be a part of this conference? For me, it's important because, listen, you do not do anything without knowledge. You know, you can have a desire, but your desire without knowledge, without skill, without strategy is nothing. You just keep desiring, but you really wouldn't see like the manifestation of what it is you desire. So we all need the tools, the skills, the strategies, the hack, if you will, for this. And how do you learn? You learn from people who have gone ahead of you. You learn from those who are doing it and getting results. That's the fastest way to learn. So the topic for our very first speaker today would be how to build your family real estate empire. Just imagine it. All the property that you desire, your family can get that. You know, think about hundreds and hundreds of acres of land, you know, property all over the world, not just in your country of residence, property in many, many countries. It is possible. And if you believe that, if you believe it is possible, remember, it starts in your mind. Drop in the chat box, it is possible. Just before I bring up our very first speaker, who is also the convener of this amazing conference, my Egbon, my big brother, Dr. Stephen Akinteo, who's absolutely amazing. I met him in Dubai a few years ago when he came to, I believe he came for like the launch book signing of one of his books. I think that was Billionaire Habits, if I remember correctly. I got invited by a very good friend, Energetic EJ. She said, hey, Mayo, I'd like you to come to this event. Dr. Stephen is going to be there. He's an amazing man. He's an author. He's coming for his book signing. And then I met him, and the story has been amazing since then. He's gone on to also support, and that's one thing I personally know about Dr. Stephen Akinteo. He's one who supports the things he believes in. I organize an event here called Road to Success. So you see that success is something I'm very passionate about. I organize something called Road to Success here in Dubai, and it is for primarily African immigrants, helping them in their journey to success, whether they are entrepreneurs or professionals. If you connect with me on Instagram, you see more about that. But what am I trying to drive at? I told Dr. Stephen about this concept, and he has supported us time and time again. I'm really appreciative for his support. So he's going to come up now to share with us how to build our family real estate empire. So welcome with me, with a round of applause in the chat, the one and the only, Dr. Stephen Akinteo.
I have missed this face. I have so missed this face. You have no idea how much I've missed you. How are you doing?
That's why you should come back to Dubai soon.
How are you doing today?
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Dubai is recovering from the floods.
Yes.
It's back to normal. We thank God that, we're kept safe. and I don't have to worry about insurance for anything.
How's your husband and your cute boy? Oh boy.
They're represented. I'm representing them.
Cutest baby I've ever seen. Very cute.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for anchoring today's event and adding gracing it with your flavor and your unique feel.
It is only one lady me now, you know. It's one. Welcome, Doctor. So excited. What do you have for us today? Take it away, Doctor.
Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to today's session. Hopefully we have a great time. I think my wife's session will have to be cancelled. Maybe Maiwa will take that session. My wife just lost her father, and so she was supposed to take the the evening class, but I'm not sure she can take that. She's not in a good mood. May his soul rest in peace. So, I mean, if even me, I'm still thinking a lot now on the consequences of his passing. But we're here, so we're going to be looking at how to build your family real estate empire and how to build your family real estate empire. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your condolences. Thank you. I think it just brings home again the concept of we just need to, and I hope we'll take this conference seriously. It's important to structure your family and be proactive about the structure, because you can die at any time. So you want to be sure that things will continue in a very better way even after you're gone. How do you build your family real estate empire? Real estate remains one of the key ingredients to sustaining your wealth. My father-in-law, for example, that I was talking about, resigned from work very early in his life, but because he had invested in real estate, his real estate assets were what kept him for the rest of his life before his recent demise. So real estate, you can't overemphasize it, you can't joke with it. It has to be a priority, and I don't care where you live, you have to start thinking real estate. You have to think cash flow. However, when you're thinking real estate, the first aspect of real estate you must prioritize is cash producing real estate. Everybody type cash producing real estate. Everybody, come on. I need a very engaging class, okay? Now, particularly at this moment, I need your comment will encourage me. So come on. Everybody type cash producing real estate. So you have to think of cash producing real estate, because many of us, when we even think of real estate, we're thinking of real estate from perspective of my house, where I live. And sometimes we forget that the house you live in is not an asset. The house you live in is a liability. When we talk about cash producing real estate, it has to be a real estate that you own that is generating cash for you. So the real estate you live in does not generate cash. It's technically taking cash from, because you have to do maintenance, you have to service the apartment. Depends on what part of the world you live, you have to pay tax on it. There's just so much that the real estate is taking from you. So cash producing real estate then has to be your priority. Of course, let me emphasize, at a phase in your life, even the real estate you live in is also cash producing. How do I mean? Because there's a phase of your wealth, and I'm talking of when you start doing transactions running to millions of dollars. People want to come to your house, not just your office. right? So your house, your private jets, your yacht, and that's why it looks as if very wealthy people buy these things. They're not buying it to impress anybody. But once you start doing transaction, for example, how many of you, no matter how the person showed you that, let me give a very basic example. Imagine I told you I'm a developer and I'm to sell you a $10 million house, $10 million house. And I came to your house to meet you with a Toyota Corolla of 2004, right? Every document checks out. Everything looks legit. How many of you will buy that $10 million house from me? Right? And I showed up in a Toyota Corolla of 2004. How many of you will buy the $10 million house? Talk to me. Come on, I want to hear your view. How many of you will buy? Right? Even though document checks out, everything checks out, somehow you begin to like, something is not right here. Right? Something is not, at least you think twice. You will be a bit concerned looking at that type of car. And then I've come to collect $10 million from you. $10 million. You will think twice. And so it's important to know that when we teach what we teach, there is also a phase where the reverse is the case. Are we learning at all? And this is part of where people make mistakes, because how you started does not mean that's how you need to continue. Okay? So at the beginning, we will teach you about being conservative, we'll teach you about working on a couple of things, but at a phase, thank God Mayowa is here. When I moved to Dubai and started selling real estate, I had to make sure, I started living in Burj Khalifa. I got a Rolls Royce, and it was intentional because I was selling property. One of the properties I was selling, and I'm still selling in Dubai, in the World Island, goes for $46 million. So for some of the clients, as they arrive from Dubai, I would ask my driver to go pick them from the airport, particularly the clients that want to buy high net worth products. So at that point, and some of them, I'll then bring them to Burj Khalifa, eat at the restaurant, then go to my apartment, we talk briefly. But what I'm doing with all of that is to also give them some level of comfort, okay, so that they can do business with me. So it's very important to know that your house is not an asset, it's a liability. However, at a phase of your business, having a very good house gives comfort to people who want to do business with you. Are we learning? For a learning type, I'm learning. Come on, talk to me, everyone. If you're a learning type, I'm learning. So at a phase, so at this phase you are now, cash producing real estate should be your focus. So, however, when you want to start this whole empire, okay, you need to have a smart goal about your real estate empire. You need to have a specific goal. So I have a specific goal of owning cash producing real estate. Either I'm building and I'm selling estate we own. So I'm not thinking of just my own personal house now. I'm thinking of 25,000 green and smart home developed by our company. And some will rent out, some will have sold to the people buying it from us. Everybody type 25,000 green and smart home. Come on, everybody type it. And I have another goal of controlling another set of 25,000 houses that are not necessarily green and smart home, but they're under our company management. Okay? With a total assets of $40 billion by the year 2035 is a goal. So my goal is specific. So can anybody type their real estate goal for me? Let me see. Come on. Again, when I'm talking about goal, I'm not talking about the mansion. I'll build my 100 room house in Banana Island. That's not the one I'm talking about, because we are focusing on real estate as a source of wealth this time. Real estate as a source of cash Real estate, for example, if you buy land and the value goes up in 10 years, yes, it's part of this. So you can have a goal and say, I want to own, 20 plot of land for land banking that will appreciate by more than 1,000% or more than 5,000% in the next 10 years. That's a specific goal. But that my goal is, let's look at real estate assets, right, that are going to be able to produce cash for you. That is how you want to do. So here somebody said, they said fix and flip 500 houses before December 2024. Now, how many have you flipped as of today? Miriam Abdullahi, how many have you flipped as of today? Okay. Can you type how many houses? Because you want to flip 500 between now and December 2024. But how many have you flipped as of today, March, as of April? How many have you flipped? So everybody type, so Miriam says she's flipped 2. Now, if you have flipped 2 and 4 months is gone, so you only have 8 months go, I think you need to review your goals. And that takes us to what? Measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, it's important to know that there's no attainable goal, but there's unrealistic time. So can Miriam, for example, flip 500 houses? Yes. But can she do it between now and December 2024? Absolutely no. Right? Absolutely no. So make sure that, and that's what we say, set a smart goal for your real estate empire. Make sure the goal is specific, is measurable, is attainable, is realistic, and is time-bound. Okay? But please know, don't limit your dream because you think it's big. Because there is no goal or dream that is unattainable. Can everybody type it? There's no goal that is unattainable. There's only unrealistic timeline. Everybody type it. Come on, quickly. I need your energy. There is no goal that is unattainable. There is only unrealistic timeline. So there could be a timeline that you're putting that is just not realistic, that is just not doable, that just wouldn't work. But that you say, oh, I cannot do something. It's too big. That's a lie. There's nothing too big. You can achieve any dream you set your mind. But the timeline, you have to look at the timeline based on where you are and then come up with a more tangible and realistic timeline. So, number 2, educate yourself. Educate yourself. I just graduated Harvard University in real estate investment. I've been doing real estate investment for the last, how many years, right? For the last 8 years, and yet I went to enroll again in Harvard University just to learn more, just to educate myself the more. And I keep doing that. I'm still about to pay some money again to Grant Cardone. I'm doing so many other things to keep connect, to increase my network. There's a program I'm supposed to pay under $28,000 just to network with real estate investors who are over 1,000 of them, and they do deals in millions of dollars. So that way I'll be able to attract some investors as well. So when you look at all I'm saying here, you have to invest in the education that will help you to be able to build a real estate empire for your family. What I've always seen is that many people are not well educated when it comes to building real estate empire. And it's one of the major issues that we're facing today, right? You must invest in that. By the way, thank you to all of you watching on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Thank you. And please, like we said, keep inviting people to join. If you're watching on social media, share the link, get more people to join us, okay? So educate yourself. Educate yourself. Invest in the knowledge of an investment before the investment. Everybody type it quickly. Always invest in the knowledge of an investment before the investment itself. One more time. Always invest in the knowledge of an investment before the investment itself. And what we're saying here, put in money to understand, okay, what the industry is all about. I see people just go buy houses. They don't even know jack about real estate. They don't know cash producing real estate. They don't know various types of real estate. They don't know how real estate generates income. They don't know how to build wealth through real estate. They just go ahead and just start putting money. Always, again, everybody type it. Come on, do I have everybody here? I want you to type it right now. Always invest in the knowledge of an investment before investing in that particular investment. The knowledge first, the education first. That must be the priority if you're serious about building wealth, okay? Get the knowledge. Understand what you're going to. Number two, build a strong team. Build a strong team. Not having a strong team has cost me a lot, right? As a businessman, and please, it's important not to be emotional and sentimental. I have done that. We put out a vacancy recently, and a gentleman said, because we said we needed somebody with 5-year experience. And the gentleman posted and said, if you people don't give young people the opportunity, okay, when will you ever get the experience? And I had to reply because I've gotten all those nonsense. And I said, the young man should go and volunteer so that he or she can get the experience. You cannot expect me to train you and pay you at the same time. That is scam. So if you don't have an experience in real estate and you want to work with Dr. Stephen, I see a lot of people always reaching out to me. Dr. Stephen, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. I have done that before. It burnt me. I made losses. You will have, how many of you have had experiences where people are foolish and yet they called you the foolish one? If you have had such experience, raise your hand. How many of you have seen people behave foolishly and then they say you are the foolish one? Come on. If you've had such experience, just type, I have had such experience. Like, if a mad, and I'm sure in Africa we have a lot of times where we see mad people on the street. I don't know if you have seen a madman call you that you are saying mad. I don't know if you have had such experience. I don't know about some of you who live in a very posh neighborhood. Growing up in the northern part of Nigeria, usually you just say a madman on the street. And sometimes he's looking at you and say, Uwaka, Uwaka, right? And he's calling you mad. Meanwhile, he's the one naked on the street. So I have realized that getting incompetent people in your life can be one of the most costly ventures you can go into. It can be dangerous. It can mess you up. And after you have messed up, the person will still look at you and say, your head is not correct. So build a strong team and let the team be competent ones. The ones who are not experienced, let them come and do internship. Let them come and learn, right? I've shared my experience before of how I got this young lady. She was 22, very young. Felt, oh, I can train her and, build a lot of our empire. Took her to one of our branches outside Nigeria. For 6 months, in fact, first 9 months, she did not sell a dime. We were paying house rent. We were having to pay our upkeep, right? At the end of the day, at some point, I had to start babysitting. We started making some progress. One day, she woke up and said she was leaving. Give me some period. You've signed bond of 5 years with me. Give me 6 months. Said no, and shut down the entire office and disappeared. Okay? That is what, if you have incompetent people do, because there's a level of experience you get in life where you just understand you don't burn bridges. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's a level of professionalism you have where you just know that you don't burn bridges. Who knows what I'm talking about? If you know what I'm talking about, that I know. So as people get competent and get exposed, they just understand the professional etiquettes. Who knows what? Come on, talk to me. If you know what I'm talking about, that I know. Professional etiquettes, professional rules to what we do. These are things with boundaries we don't cross. We don't burn bridges. We don't bite the fingers that fed us, no matter what the issues are, no matter what we disagree on. We don't do it. So build a strong team. Don't tell me because you're building a family real estate empire, it must be your cousin that is the accountant, It must be your chief in your village that is looking, scouting for the land for you. It must be, look for professionals. They don't need to be related to you, right? And work with them as you start building your real estate empire. Number 3, identify profitable opportunities. There are places that are more profitable than some places, right? And always look at the areas where the opportunities are. So I've seen situations whereby people tell me that, Stephen, if I had that same, I'm currently running a real estate investment masterclass here in Abuja. Today is day 2. And day 1, one of the students who paid for the class and was in the class said, Dr. Stephen, how do I identify a good location for real estate development in Kogi? And I looked at him and I said, why must you start your real estate development in Kogi? The fact that you're from Kogi and you live in Kogi does not mean you should start your real estate development in Kogi. And why? Because Abuja will give you better return on investment than Kogi will do. So why must you play emotional sentiment? Because you are from Kogi State, then you must start your real estate business in Kogi. Are you seeing how many of us think that? You see why you needed training. Thank God that guy came for my training. Else, the little capital he has, he will blow everything in Kogi, and the property will not grow the way he wants, and he will still be complaining and be wondering whether it was witches in Kogi that are doing him. Now, is there anything wrong with doing real estate in Kogi? No. Just that you may not need to start from there. Start from Abuja. You'll get faster returns. When you've now built a name, you are now a household name, you can expand the real estate empire to Kogi. When I started, I'm from Abeokuta. When I started, I didn't have a single estate in Abeokuta. In fact, that we had an estate in Abeokuta was maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? For the first 6 years, we're busy focusing on Abuja and Lagos, right? Because those places will give us the highest return on investment. Are we learning? For learning type, I'm learning. And even till now, I still don't have an estate in my village, because my village will not give me the kind of returns that I will get from a Lagos or an Abuja or even Abeokuta, that is the state capital. So even while I then needed to do in my state, I had to focus on the state capital. Ijebu-Ode is also a place we're launching now because, again, the Ijebus buy land a lot, right? And so you have to do your market analysis. You have to make sure that you are looking for areas that are profitable. You are prioritizing locations that are profitable when doing your real estate business. Come on, bring it here. I don't know why you are going to the room. Isaac, bring it here. Why are you going to the room? So let's look at 7 ways to make money from real estate. Now, I'm not going to go into details. I'm just pointing you to those areas, right? Areas where you can make money in the real estate sector. If you want to get details, you need to go for my real estate investment masterclass. It's a paid class. You can order for the audio version, and they can send you the audio version as well. The real estate investment masterclass, 7 ways to make money in the real estate sector. Number 1 is called land banking. Everybody type land banking, number 1. Number 1, land banking. Can everybody type land banking? Now, land banking is the process of land aggregation for the purpose of development and investment. Land banking is a process of land aggregation for the purpose of investment or development. So what we mean by this is that it is a business where you are buying the land so that later you sell it when the price is gone up, or you're buying a land so that later you now build houses on it and sell the houses or rent out the houses. But the goal is that you are banking your money. How many of you know that cash banking is foolishness? Land banking is wisdom. Oh, can my team write that down? Please, everybody type it. Cash banking is foolishness. Land banking is wisdom. Okay? Please, I need my team to do a quotable quote ASAP. Joshua, if you are there, I need it right now, because that's a good one. Cash banking is foolishness. Land banking is wisdom. Because when you bank your cash, inflation has rubbished it. Nigeria has 33% inflation rate. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So if you kept your money in the bank last year, 33% is gone in the value of that money. And you still want to be keeping money in the bank. And inflation goes on everywhere in the world. It's not just in Nigeria, just that it's higher in Nigeria than some other countries. So cash banking is foolishness. Land banking is wisdom. Because while your cash reduces when you put it in the bank, your cash increases in value when you put it in land. So a land you will buy for, let's say, I'm just giving an example. Let's say you bought the land for $1,000. The value can go as high as $10,000 in the next 3 to 5 years. Isn't that wise? Meanwhile, you can keep the same $1,000 in your bank, and in 5 years, it will remain $1,000, and the value cannot even buy, okay, what you used to buy for $500, 10 years prior. Is this good? Are you learning? If you're learning, type I'm learning. Number 2 is fix and flip. Fix and flip is basically the business model of buying properties, dilapidated properties at a very cheap price, renovate it and sell it at a higher price. Okay, one of my friend bought a property in Lekki for 350 million, renovated it and sold it for 700 million. Can you believe it? That is a lot of money. And he did it in less than 1 year. So, and that's fix and flip. You can do the same in the UK, you can do the same in the US, different parts of the world. You can buy properties that are aging, put in some money to fix it, and then you flip it. You sell it at a higher price, and you make your profit. Number 3, commercial real estate. Commercial rental. Commercial rental is basically having real estate assets that are being rented out, okay, to people for office space, for lease, and so on and so forth. So you can have a real estate, and the real estate is just being rented out, and the purpose of the rent is for a lease. It's not for accommodation, it's not residential, it's not industrial. It's just to rent it out. You can rent a space for bank, a space for office, a space for retail, and so on and so forth. Number 4, short let. This one is a good one. It's one of the easiest one that all of you can do as a family, right? Every one of you should have at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 short let apartment that is generating money for you every month. Everyone should have that. It's one of the ways to keep your family stable and comfortable and good. Are we learning? If we're learning, type of learning. Now, how many of you, if you have 1 short let apartment, type 1. If you have 2, type 2. If you have 3, type 3. If you have 0, type 0. Let me just take a quick poll now. Okay, can you type the number of short let apartments that you currently that is currently generating cash flow for you? 0, 0, 0, 0. Most of you are just typing 0, 0. So there has to be a change. And the beauty about short let, you don't need to own it. Okay, just thank God. Finally, Joshua has one. Abraham Mabel has one. Finally, you do not need to own the short let. And that's what people don't know. One of my mentees here in Abuja, I taught him this business today. Not only does he control over 30 short lets in Abuja, he's now a property developer, he's now a contractor, taking projects from state governments in terms of real estate construction. Amazing. The guy's story totally turned around. From a guy who used to earn 40,000 naira salary, now multi-millionaire, running to billions where he is now. So, but he started with 1 short let, then 2 short let, then 3 short let, then 4 short let. The beauty of short let is that it requires less effort. Okay, you don't need too much effort to control, to manage your short let business. And that's one of the beauty of it. Number 5, residential rental. You can build a residential accommodation and rent it out to people or sell it to people and make good money. Okay, we call it cash producing real estate. This is one of the things Grant Cardone does. Grant Cardone controls over 12,000 real estate portfolio worth over $4 billion, right? So you buy houses that are majorly for rental, okay? You add some value to it and you rent it out. And the beauty of, again, residential rental is cash flow. Everybody say cash flow. Now, let me say this at this point. The secret to financial freedom is AKA cash flow. Right? Can everybody type it? The secret to financial freedom is cash flow. Everybody type it. Cash flow. When you have cash generating real estate asset, it's a game changer. A lot of people you call rich people in the world, they don't have much money in their accounts like that, but they have what we call cash flow. Dangote, I can assure you, does not even have $500 million cash sitting in one account somewhere. Okay, but do you know the good news with Dangote? Every day, money is coming in. Now, the money can come in and go the way it's coming in, but money is coming. And every day, we are talking of billions coming in. People like Dangote probably do turnover of 30 billion a day, 40 billion a day. And when you get to that level where you have cash flow, the banks respect you, right? You know, everybody respects you. You can make certain huge decisions, you know, and that's really where the wealth is all about, is cash flow. Having things that just can keep producing money on a regular basis. Number 6, real estate investment trust. So this basically is you looking for a real estate vehicle where you can give them your money. They go put the money into several real estate assets, cash producing real estate assets, and then they are giving you a portion of that money. This is part of how you become wealthy and how you build your real estate empire for your family. You must have. Now, I run a syndication myself. I run a debt syndication where people invest and every year we give them money. Do you know what's funny about that program? I realized that every month, for those who are due, we pay them before we even pay salary. We pay them before we even pay anybody else. And I always say that this is how it should be. When you give people your money and they go and work for you, and when they start making anything comes, they pay you first. They pay your returns. They pay your interest before they do anything, because you are the one helping their business to keep moving. So you want to be in that position where you are giving people your money. Even myself, I've put in my money to several real estate trusts. Okay, even though I own a trust myself as well. You just want something, you put your money somewhere, they give you something every year, right? You are not doing any extra work for what they are giving you every year. But that's how wealth is created. Is this exciting? Come on, if it's exciting, type this is exciting, exciting, exciting. I need your energy, everybody. If this is exciting, type exciting, exciting. Come on. Somebody saying like, what returns? Well, talk to our office. They will tell you the various ones we run. But again, it's not about the returns. It's about the act. Because some of us have gone for, you know, we've been swindled because you are looking for high returns. For example, any real estate trust that is promising you more than 25-30% return on investment on a yearly basis is a high-risk trust, and you can lose all your money. So it's not just about looking for who will give me high returns. It should be who is giving me too much returns that is not sustainable. Okay? That is not sustainable. Somebody says, but I need more information on your real estate trust. I just told you, call my office, right? And they will attend to you. If you are in this conference and you still don't know the numbers of my office, something is wrong, right? Sani Mohammed said, I'd like to invest in GVES. Call my office. I don't know how all of you want to invest, but you don't know my office number. So call my office, right? Remember, my goal for this conference is not to come and sell you people. I just want to deliver value, right? I just want to give you directions that you need to move in. Okay? That's just my focus. Okay, but since you have been on my neck over, you want to invest. Call this number +234-818-00000618. Okay, that's the number to call in case you don't have the number. Okay, +234-818-00000618. Or you can chat the US one on WhatsApp. All of it, just chat on WhatsApp, please. +1-443-790-3925. Okay, so I've given you Mohammed, you have the number, right? Chisom, you have the number. You can make inquiry on any of those two numbers, and they'll give you all the information about real estate trust. Now, you'll be glad to know that in 3 years, we have paid out almost $1 million in returns, not in capital. How many of you are excited to hear that? We have paid our investors, right, almost $1 million in returns, right? Returns, so not even capital, just, you know, what they are earning as an interest for investing with our company. Isn't this cool? So you can also do programs like that, because the only time you do anything is the one time you put in your money. For the rest of the other time, you're just getting returns. Every month, you are paying out. This month, I think our payout is over 40 million naira. Some months, 80 million naira that we're paying as returns to investors who have invested with us, right? Real estate agency and brokerage is number 4. I look at so many people telling me that, Stephen, there's no money. I don't have capital to start real estate. I'm broke. And I'm looking at them and saying, but you know people who can afford. All your classmates that you went to school, some of them in Canada, some of them in UK, some of them in US. How many of them have you talked to invest in real estate with you? Right? You know people you can do business with. You know people that can patronize you. You know that uncle that is rich. Instead of always begging the uncle, why not carry a good proposal of how they can invest with GTEx in Katy, in Richmond, in UK, in Dubai, in Nigeria? They will take you more seriously when you are not begging them, but you are coming to them with a good proposal on how they can even make money for themselves. Some of you think this is correct, right? And all you're doing is to just refer people. You're just referring. If you're working with GTEx, we have a whole team who will help, you know, your clients, guide them. They will even go on a call, a Zoom call with you, and help you close the deal. All you're doing is just refer them. This person can afford. This person can afford. That's all. And I wanted you to know this. Everybody, please write this down. One of the major secrets of wealth is referral wealth. Everybody type it. One of the major secrets of wealth is referral wealth, aka network monetization. One of the major secrets of wealth is called referral wealth, aka network monetization. And this is why if you read my book, The Billionaire Habit and The Billionaire Code, you see me emphasize big time on the power of network. You can't be richer than the quality of people you know. You can't be. Why? Let me give a practical example. Let me just give you a practical example. Let's assume you know somebody who is worth $1 billion. Okay? Let's assume you know someone who is worth what? $1 billion. Now, I want to ask you a question. Does that person, will he still invest in real estate? If it's yes, type yes. Will that person invest in fashion? If it's yes, type yes. Will that person invest in contracts, like doing project, building a new office, renovating their office, renovating his own house, doing interior? Type yes if you think it's yes. Will that person buy cars or private jet or yachts? Just keep typing yes. Will that person, okay, be required to give gifts on a Christmas to his staff, to people he knows? The question is, who is currently providing those services to that person? Come on, answer me. Who is currently providing those services? Yet you know the person. Yet none of the money that flows. Let me give you an idea. When they say a man is richer, I repeat, it's not the money is stuck in his account. Most rich people don't have money stuck in their account. They have what we call cash flow. Money comes in, money goes out. So an average billionaire is spending minimum 100 million, I'm not kidding you, to 250 million every month. Your own question is, who are those collecting that money? How can I be one of those collecting those money and offering services? And sometimes all you're just doing is refer who can do the best job in the areas that naturally those money go. So Stephen Akita, for example, every month we are buying land or we are paying for existing land, and they are running to hundreds of millions, right? So the people collecting GTEx money are people who have positioned themselves to provide services in the area of GTEx. Are we learning? Hey, is this helpful? So by you becoming a broker, a real estate broker, a real estate agent, you're making good money. You're building wealth. So I'll give you an example. Last month, there is somebody that my wife and I know, and we're close to them. And then, they were all in Dubai. My wife just said, we sell property in Dubai. I said, I didn't know. I've already promised somebody else. My wife said, but you are closer to that somebody. You are closer to us than that somebody else. Please, you need to buy this thing from us. Ladies and gentlemen, $750,000. Boom. Deal close. A matter of days. Okay? And we don't own that particular property. We're just a broker. But 5% of $750,000. Come on, how many of you can see money? But guess what? You see why we're not talking about network now. If we don't have a strong relationship with that person, the person will still go ahead and buy that property in Dubai, but we won't get 5%. We won't get it. So when it comes to real estate, it's not just, oh, I must be the developer. I must be the owner of the land. Sometimes I just want to be the middleman. I just want to be the one referring the people to where they can buy from. And I get my 10%, or I get my 5%, or I get my 2%, or I get my 1%. Same thing with investment. We do give 2% commission with GVES. You refer someone to invest with us. KD project now, $100,000 is the minimum people can invest. We are raising $45 million for that. And then we're getting the rest, 70% from another institutional investors. We have Richmond project we have launched. We're raising $15 million for that, and we're getting the remaining $35 million from institutional investors, right? Referring people to us for that, you're getting 2% on that. If the people buy land from GTEx, you get 10% if you referred. If they buy a house, you get 5% if they referred. If they buy something from us in Dubai, you get 2% if you are the person who referred them to our Dubai properties that we sell. So there is so much money you are leaving on the table. How many of you now agree from this class that you are leaving money on the table? Come on, talk to me. I need your comments. How many of you can see areas that, I will have made money here, I will have made money there. My friend just bought this house, he bought that house, he bought this one, but I wasn't involved. Okay? Come on, how many of you can see money on the table? If you can see money on the table, type, I can see money on the table. So, financing options. You have to think of funding when it comes to real estate. How do I fund all these real estate, goals. Number one, self-funding. You must have some of your savings that you can put towards this new empire that you're building. I want to own 50 houses that is generating cash in the next 10 years. You should have such a dream. You have such a dream. Every one of you, that should be the list. Right? I want to own 50 houses and they're bringing money for me every year or every month. You should have such a dream. But to do that, you must have some of your own money that you can put into it. Number two, crowdfunding. Of course, another word for it is syndication. So I do that a lot. I raise a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars through our crowdfunding platform. Right? Loan. You can take a loan. I'm taking 70% loan for our US project. We've never taken a loan in 16 years in our Nigerian project, but our US project, we're taking loan, right? Venture capital, right? There are a lot of VCs who want to invest in your real estate project if it makes a lot of sense. So these are a lot of funding options you need to consider and you need to make plans for. Okay? Also, you must risk mitigation for me is don't go into real estate without, number one, going for a real estate course. I have so many of them that will help you. Number two, have a real estate mentor. And when you're picking a real estate mentor, the person must have the results. Don't go and get somebody who he himself, the Yoruba will say, we have so many aspire to aspire in Nigeria, so many motivational speakers, right? And there's nothing wrong with motivation because we all need motivation. Okay, right now, like I told you, my wife just lost her dad. She really needs motivation right now because it's really painful for her. So motivation is good, but don't motivate me to money, right? You need more than motivation to be rich. Who knows what I'm talking about? You yourself motivating me must have some results. They say result terminates insult. So sometimes many of us, our problem is that we go to family members to guide us on real estate investment. Those family members have never bought a plot of land. And that's why they end up scamming you. You go shout and say, I was duped. But the person you were talking to, what have they done for themselves before you go and meet them? Say, hey, but it's my cousin, but it's my auntie, but it's my nephew. They don't get it. When you want to buy a house in America, how many of you go and look for nephew and cousin in America before you buy a house? Don't you just go online and look for a good agent and you go check the property and you buy? So why must it be? And I tell people, I say sometimes we just want to form, we just want to brag. That's why we're calling family members. Hey, do you know those people? I'm thinking of buying from them. You just want to brag. That's all you're trying to do, right? But how to mitigate risk is to look for somebody who's already successful. Today, I have so many mentees who come to me and say, Dr. Stephen, I'm building real estate empire. I have 2 billion. I'll put into real estate. Guide me. You've done it too, so you can guide me. And many of them without pay. Some even come and do internship with us for 6 months without pay, just to understand real estate, and then they go start their own business. Okay? Last but not the least, have a good succession planning. Right? If you're building real estate empire, have a good succession planning. Like somebody taught you, by the time you are 50, you must have a will. Sometimes you may even need to have the will before you're 50. Right? You need to have the will before you're 50. Who will be in charge of your asset if you die today? You must be clear. Right? Mine is very clear. It's my wife. Simple as ABC. Nothing complex. Okay? But things like that changes over time. You know, as you grow, your children are now old enough, you may want to put your children. There may be other structures. And the next speaker will talk to you about that as well. When it comes to, we call it family office. These are other options to succession and to planning. So that is that about that. How many of you got value today? Come on, if you got value, type I got value, I got value, I got value. Did you enjoy the class? How to build a family real estate empire. If you enjoyed it, come on, show some. I want to get feedback from you. Okay. Maiwa, you need to come for this retreat too. So we're having this in Ghana, the CEO Leadership Retreat. All of you should endeavor to come. I gave an opportunity for you to be able to get the early bird ticket if you are coming early. But I promise you, it's going to be a life-changing. The quality of people coming. We have delegation from Morocco, because I'm partnered with GotMe, Linus Okore. We have over 30 people from just Morocco. So it's not a Nigerian thing. We are meeting people from all over the world coming for this event. I think one or two head of states in Africa will also be coming. So it's a very high-profile event, and you don't want to miss it. So you take care of your hotel and flight, but our official hotel is Kapinski, Marriott, and we have Airbnb. You can talk to our team if you want them to help you with that. But the entries fee to enter the event, early bird is $750, regular is $850, and late is $1,100. You can pick the virtual as well if you can't come physically and watch the entire event virtually. Okay, yes, in USA, we're having the Global Wealth Festival. We did last year, I think we did London. We started in Nigeria and then we did London. This year is back to the US. And it promises to be a great event, and you don't want to miss it for anything in the world. So you can go register on the website. We also have the Global Property Brokers Conference. It's taking place in November. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. It's physical. It's in person. It's not virtual. And then don't forget our major offer. I'm working with 100 families in the next 12 months to become financially free. Okay? And we're going to be working on your money personality test. We're going to be working on your money family test. So in the money family test, we then know who needs to be keeping money, who is the accountant of the house, who is the investor of the house, who is the entrepreneur of the house. The test will give you so many shocking revelations about your family. We have the Global Family Finance Conference workbook. So you're going to get a workbook for this conference for every speaker session. You're getting 12-month career investment and business worksheet. Guaranteed 200 to 1,000% growth in your net worth. You have a weekly family coaching session, forex, crypto, real estate. So all these courses, all these investment opportunities like that I've taught you, you'll be getting practical classes every week. So you can immediately, let me put my money into buying this, invest in that. Practical. You'll be able to network with other great families as well. 30 minutes one-on-one coaching with me, and then 247 chat. So you can chat me up and say, Dr. Sylvia, I want to do this investment. What do you advise? And then we have our official books for this conference, Family Finance, and you get 5 and you get 6 for free. Today is the last day for all this promo. With all my books, $200 for the soft copy. And then you can get the physical copy delivered to your house anywhere in the world, including shipping. Today is the final day for all these promos. So I advise you, take advantage of them. And thank you for watching. And thank you for all the well wishes. And I think you can drop a message if you know my wife's. If you have her contact, drop a condolence message for her. If not, to go to her IG, her Instagram, and you can send her condolence. I think she needs it more than me. I'm just wondering how to console her right now, because she loved her dad. She was her dad's favorite, and amazing man. I mean, we had our differences, but it was at my birthday this year. After I succeeded, me and him became best friends. So it's really painful, but he's so rest in peace.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amazing session. We have 1 or 2 questions. Is it okay to take 1 or 2?
Why not? Why not? Let's do that.
I'll read this one from Stephen. It says, thank you, sir, for this afternoon's lecture. My question is, you said the secret to financial freedom is cash flow. Our product is sold every day and in high demand. Little money goes into our daily since we cannot meet the high demand or do not like going for loan, please, what would be your advice to meet production demand when all equipment needed are not available?
Well, good question. Good question. If you have that kind of problem, you have a good problem, right? Because usually most businesses, the problem is getting customers. You're not able to have enough people who can, buy what you're selling. So you have a good problem. What you need, as far as I'm concerned, is number one, you need to get a good CFO, somebody who understands finance, and the person, a couple of things that we need to do. First thing is to look at your pricing. Because sometimes many of us are not pricing right. So the way we even price the product, we're at a loss. So your CFO can help you look at the pricing so that at least you're pricing in a way that you can make some decent profit, and part of those profits can then go into getting those equipment you don't have. Another part is that your CFO can help you structure an investment program. We talked about crowdfunding. Remember we looked at the funding options, right? There's nothing wrong with loan. It's just that when your business is still small, don't take loan. It doesn't help. Now, personal loan is a no-no. So please, I know some of us are from churches where I'm from the church. My pastor always say, don't, debt-free, debt-free. But if you sit down one-on-one with Bishop Oyedepo, I can assure you, he understands the concept of loan, right? And it's not against that. What he focuses more on is personal loan. So if you take a loan to go and buy a car, okay, it's your car, you're driving with your family. How will you pay that back? If you take a loan to go and buy a couple of things, so you must understand. And as a business person, remember the fact that your pastor say, oh, we bought this land debt-free, debt-free. Yes, that is ministry. Remember, ministry does not operate like business. Ministry is somebody can wake up one day and say he has given your pastor 2 billion. I know a pastor in Nigeria that somebody gave him oil well. Now, oil well in this Nigeria. So don't compare. What did you say?
I can change from media to ministry. It's not.
You're already a minister. At least you're a music minister. So they need to at least.
They can give me oil too. Come on.
Right. So you can't compare yourself with pastors who have a lot of these monetization strategies. You are a businessman. Nobody's going to donate jack. So there's nothing wrong with taking loan, but you must take it when you have proper financial structure in place. Everything has been properly structured. But if you don't like that, then do crowdfunding. I've never taken a loan in 16 years in Nigeria, but I do crowdfunding. We have several people investing and we give them returns. So those are options that you can also, but get a professional. Again, don't say you had me and then before you know it, you come up with a structure to be paying people. A guy was paying people 48%. He even had a restaurant in Dubai as well, 48% now. He was now paying them 4% every month, right? Before you know, he raised 13 billion naira and crash. I mean, it was big on social media. Everybody calling him out. Some people even telling me to talk to him. I said, I don't understand. When you were giving me your money, did you consult me? So, and by the way, the guy later reached out to me for help. I gave him my counsel anyway. Whether he now took it or not, that's a different thing. But one of the things I told him, I said, number one, you can't be giving people their returns every month, right? It's not realistic. You should give returns every year. Number two, their capital has to be with you for a longer time. So in GTES, for example, the least your capital can be with us is 3 years. That's the minimum. We need because we are using it for a long-term project. Real estate is a long time. So many of us take short-time fund for a long-term project. And that's why the whole thing crash, right? So but get a mentor, get a professional to help you look into that and structure it.
Yep. So that's about the only question I can take because we need to move very quickly to our next speaker. I would like to invite Doctor, if he's got a few moments, to check the Q&A tab We have about 2 more questions there. So if you can just answer them directly, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
How will you advise a beginner with 35 million wishing to get into real estate to begin? Come for my training, that's all. Right? Training is how you reign, right? Because with the training, you now have the proper, knowledge on how to go about it. Thank you so much, sir, for organizing this program. Please, what do you think about opening a restaurant business in Dubai, since I don't have enough money to go into real estate? Well, restaurant business, I know a few people who are into restaurant business in Dubai. Virtually all of them, a friend from Kiza to what's it called, Enish to Biggie, have good relationship with them. But it's been a tough one. Dubai has been a bit tough since Nigerians have been banned. Remember, if I ask you now, you want to start a Nigerian restaurant, right? So many of them have had to kind of strategize. They are now an Pan-African restaurant just to increase the number of clientele so that South Africans, Zambians, Ghanaians who are still able to come to Dubai can patronize them. So first question is, can you do Pan-African restaurant so that your clientele, the market is bigger? So those are things you want to look at. But another thing would be get someone to mentor you. Incidentally, Mayowa also knows all these people. So chat Lady Mayowa and tell her to beg one of them to book a one-on-one coaching session with one of these restaurants. Sometimes we feel these people will not teach us and they will think you're a competition. You'll be shocked how Joe Osawaye of Kiza will be so glad to break down one or two advice. How Biggie will be so happy to share a few things. So talk to Myra. She could help you book a meeting with one of them if she likes you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. There's so much that I'd want to give you much time to share and respond to all of these questions, but we need to rush off to our next speaker. We've overshot our time by a couple of minutes, so I really want to move on to our next speaker. Thank you so much. Can you please appreciate and celebrate Dr. Stephen Akintayo in the chat box? Put your round of applause, clap your hands, put your shaker if you have that shaker thing. Just celebrate him and thank him for all the insights he's shared. This is knowledge that people pay for, and you just got it free of charge today. Moving on very quickly to our second speaker, the esteemed Abiola Adediran, who's a family business advisor, private wealth and family office expert with over 15 years in the game. She's a speaker, author, trainer, and mentor whose work and impact over the years have been instrumental in driving key transformation across different sectors in Nigeria. Without any further ado, please, with a resounding ovation, with your virtual hands, your virtual shekere, and your virtual chair, please make welcome our next speaker, Abiola Adediran, who will speak on setting up family office. Welcome to the conference, ma'am. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I'm not hearing anything. I believe this is an introductory video.
Okay. Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. I imagine that the audience is, from all over the world. So whatever time zone you are at, I want to say a very big welcome to you. Please confirm in the chat box that you can hear me loud and clear before we get started into the conversation of the day. Thank you so much, everyone. Awesome. Okay, I can see that you can hear me loud and clear. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, for the invitation to be a part of this family finance conference. It's a pleasure to be here, to be able to share with your network of people that follow you, that learn from you from time to time. And I believe that this conference has been such a power-packed one. I mean, because if you look at the caliber of speakers that you've had over the last 4 days, I mean, very brilliant people who don't just talk, but they walk the talk and they have proof, for what they do. And I joined part of Dr. Stephen's presentation as well, very practical, If you're here with your spirit, soul, and body, and you really listened, with your inner ears, I'm sure you already know that wealth creation is just at your fingertips. And if you can go work with what you've learned today, I mean, the story will be different in a very short amount of time. Okay, so without further ado, I guess I can share my screen. I would like to get into my presentation right away. Okay, so this afternoon, I'm going to be speaking to us on a very, very interesting topic that a lot of people may not be familiar with. So I'm going to try my very best to see how I can expand it and help you to understand what it is. And it is about setting up a family office. As I have been introduced, my name is Abiola Adediro. I am a family business advisor. I'm a private wealth and family office expert of close to 2 decades. Actively in the last almost a decade, I've worked, in the capacity of a wealth manager to some high net worth individuals in Nigeria. And precisely what that means is that I've been saddled with the responsibility of managing family wealth. So I guess I have what is it called now? I have the pass mark to be able to have this conversation with you when we talk about building wealth. A lot of people are still very much at the wealth creation stage in life, right? And so a lot of the things we're learning are things that should help us to create wealth. But more importantly, beyond creating wealth for the now, you have to think about the future. So when you're creating wealth, you think about wealth creation with the future in view, right? And that is the essence of whether you should consider a family office or not as a structure to grow your wealth, protect your wealth, preserve your wealth, and transfer your wealth to the next generation. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So the agenda for today is we will be talking about what family offices are. Why do you need one? What are the considerations for setting up one? And what are the key questions that you should answer before you consider the journey of, setting up a family office? There's a Chinese proverb, very popular proverb, that says the first generation builds wealth. The second generation manages it. The third generation destroys it. And there is a fact, which is that 90% of wealthy families will fail financially within just 3 generations. Now, this is something that, whether you like it or not, is a reality that we've seen, especially on the African continent. You will find that, a certain generation, has done a fantastic work of building wealth. And some of you, I'm sure you can remember some of those names. What are those very popular wealthy names that you knew when you were growing up? You can give me a few in the chat box. I would like to see if you remember some of them. People that we knew their names, families that were very popular, to be wealthy. And for some reason, we can't see them anymore. How many of them can you remember? Remember the Abiolas, right? There were many of them. Kuti family, okay, if you say so. Who else can you remember? People that had tremendous wealth. Odutola, tremendous wealth. MQ Abiola, yes, I mentioned that. Which ones can you also remember again? There are many of them. People that made wealth in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even early 90s, right? People that made so much wealth, but we can't, you know, they're no longer relevant. Their names don't resound anymore. Whatever it is that they built in their lifetime is no longer anywhere to be found because those things have either dissipated, they've lost value, the wealth has been destroyed pretty much, right? Thank you for giving me the names. I can see that in the chat box. So the reason things like this happen is because people focus a lot on the now. And that is why all of the fantastic ideas, and I'm sure you probably have had a lot. For those of you that have been here for the last 4 days, I'm sure that your booklets are full with a lot of ideas. And maybe some of you are already on that journey, right? And maybe a lot more ideas for you to work with to create more wealth. But I want to challenge you today that, you see, it's not just enough for you to create wealth for the now. I think what is more important is for you to be able to create wealth that you can pass on to the next generation. I was on a podcast during the week and I was sharing with the host of the podcast that one of the things that we should do or we should seek to do for our generation or the next generation is to be able to give them leverage. I was saying that personally for me, I did not come from a wealthy family. My parents were not poor, but they were not rich either, right? And so for me, even as I came into a sense of awareness from age 12, the question that came to my mind was, how can I create leverage for the next generation? Because if my father had a lot of money, you know, to be able to place me in a better place as far maybe the kind of school that I went, the kind of exposures that it gave me, being a brilliant child, you know, meant that if I had more leverage, if I had the opportunity to be in a place where, you know, my intellectual capacity was being developed, being challenged, I probably may have been able to do so much more in life, right? Or this journey of building wealth will have been fast-tracked in a way for me, right? What I want you to go away with from this session today is tell yourself, even though I did not come from a wealthy lineage must come from me. Even though I did not come from a wealthy generation must come from me. There is no reason why you attended this seminar or conference over the last 4 days and your family finances will not change, right? And the reality of you stepping into wealth and creating wealth will not change. So I say that to say that, yes, build wealth, but build it with the future at the back of your mind. Build it with a lot of intentionality. The only reason 90% of wealthy families will fail financially in just 3 generations is because of lack of structure. It's as simple as that. People don't know that beyond just making money, it's important for you to put the right kind of structure in place to manage that money properly, to grow that money consistently, and to be able to preserve it in a way that it doesn't get dissipated. I know that Doctor mentioned something about wills when he was talking about succession planning. And wills are great. I mean, in the absence of a will, things are even worse, right? But I dare say that even with the best of intention, wills may still not preserve your wealth in the next generation or in subsequent generations. You know why? We live in a world where wills are now being contested. We live in a world now where even after the will has been done, if you don't have a proper administrator in place to manage the estate of the deceased, you may find that the assets themselves begin to disintegrate and they begin to lose value because the will is being contested. And where the will even works, right? Where the will even works, like everybody is happy with what they got and, the first generation is able to say this and that should go to A, B, C, D, E. At best, what will happen is that everybody will realize their own portion of the will and they will do with it as they deem fit. There is only so much control that the first generation can have on how wealth that has been shared to several people, how people can choose to utilize that wealth, whether they build on it, whether they squander it, whatever it is that they choose to do with it. The first generation is long gone. And from the moment where you share those assets to them, everybody is at liberty to do whatever they like with it. So you will find that families that have maybe a huge real estate portfolio, for instance, share this real estate portfolio amongst children, siblings, maybe people that they bring on board as part of the family, cousins, I don't know, but whoever it is that the will, impacts. There is the tendency for people, rather than keep the asset and continue to build on the asset, there is a tendency for that wealth to be dissipated, fragmented. So the sheer amount of what makes you have regard for a wealthy family is the concentration of the wealth in the hand of that generation. When it becomes fragmented, it loses value gradually. So imagine a situation where a will has been administered and the siblings or the children who are the beneficiaries of the wealth live in different parts of the world, right? Let's say the bulk of the assets is in Nigeria. And they don't have any plan to come back to Nigeria, to live in Nigeria. Maybe their families are established in other parts of the world. Where is the motivation for them to keep the asset? The natural thing is that they're going to sell it. Everybody realize their assets in cash and they move on to live their lives. If it is family businesses, which are also an asset class, right? If it is family businesses that are bequeathed to different people, if those people are not prepared, if there is no succession plan that intentionally grooms these successors, guess what? You may have done a lot of disservice to the future of that institution by placing it in the hand of somebody that is not ready to run it or does not have the motivation to take it to the next level or does not have the understanding of the vision of the founding generation, how they came into wealth, how they, ran the business to the point where it became so much, valuable to become maybe a business that has become even systemic, contributing maybe significantly to the GDP of the country, right? So if you don't have people that have the same vision that is burning in their heart, guess what? That business may also nosedive. It may also go down. So again, there are better structures that people have come up with. And one of it is, a family office. At the heart of ensuring a seamless succession of wealth across generations and a lasting legacy is the idea of the family office. So I imagine that by now you're already asking, okay, now we've heard you. So what is a family office? We're eager to know what this thing really means. A family office is a private wealth management firm that serves ultra high net worth individuals and families with very tailored solutions, that are targeted towards managing the financial and investment side of an affluent individual or family. What this means in a nutshell is that when you have built wealth to a point and your wealth has gauged, do you understand what I mean by that? For those of us in our local parlance in Nigeria, when you want to say something has, risen to an appreciable level, you will say the thing has gauged. So when your wealth has gauged, you now realize that you have to become very, very, very intentional about how you are managing this wealth going forward. If your wealth is still in some single digits of millions, it may not be important to you because you're saying, oh, well, it's not a lot of money. Let's just still keep building it. But whether you set up a family now or in the future, I guess this session is really just to give you education, to let you know that something like this exists And so even if you're still in the process of building wealth, you know that there is a superior way to manage your wealth with the intention of being able to pass it from one generation to the other. Now, for people who are already operating at a certain level of wealth, I think it's even like a no-brainer that you have a separate structure that manages your wealth. It cannot be the same business. So there's a sense in which there's a primary business you started with, which was really your core business that generated, income for you, and then you took part of that income, you began to diversify and invest in other things, right? Which is a wise thing to do. But I dare say that there is a sense in which you have to then manage that wealth in a way that maximizes it, in a way that protects it, in a way that preserves it. I know I'm talking about protection a lot. And I'm sure some of you will understand what I mean by protection, especially if you've lived in a place like Nigeria, where we've had different types of political dispensations, and the changes in regulation, the changes in political parties coming into government could mean different things for different people. And so in terms of protecting your wealth, especially if the wealth is significant, and then the reality of taxes, the multiplicity of taxes, and how that can impact your wealth will mean that you're thinking about it in a different way. So if tax is a huge component of what could impact the future of your wealth, especially when you're thinking of passing it on to the next generation, there's something called inheritance tax. Now, that kind of thing is not yet common in Nigeria, for instance. But I imagine that if for whatever reason our tax, policymakers decide to enact this inheritance tax, such that when you're passing on your asset from one generation to another, or somebody is inheriting from another thing, or you're bequeathing something to another person, there's a certain amount of tax that you have to pay. Then you have to then start to realize that this could potentially have huge implication for your wealth, because it can mean that if you have not organized the wealth properly and put it in the right kind of structure that will limit your tax exposure, it could mean that even in the hands of your beneficiaries, they will be paying a huge cash payout by way of tax. Do you see? So that is why it is important that you have a family office that can help to look at, the whole thing, harmonize it, consolidate it. And this thing can sound really funny, but I can tell you for free that we've worked with clients where they don't even know where all their assets are. So one of the work we're doing is, first of all, to even collate everything together, consolidate it, and then start to check what is the status of these assets. In terms of title, are your title deeds expired? Do you have anything on it that needs to have been renewed or not? So a family office is a private office that is set up, a private wealth management firm that is set up to oversee the affairs of the family. Now, I know I've stressed a lot on wealth, but that is not the only thing that a family office does, because when you talk about family wealth, it's not just financial wealth. It is even the values of the family, right? It is your social wealth. It is your reputation as a family. It is the things that the family itself embodies, the values that the founding generation carried that allow them to be able to become a certain type of family that has been respected in the society. And you want that to be carried forward, the traditions, the cultures, the values, the things that you hold there, the things that are at the foundation of your legacy. Those things are things you don't want to be lost in the first generation, right? You want it to be passed on from one generation to the other. Now, those things need to be stewarded. Number 3 is also the reality of the fact that succession planning is critical. And so you want to ensure that you do that properly. And I will speak to that in a bit. Now, there are two major types. I know that different school of thought that have several other types of family offices, but I recognize 2 major ones, which is number 1, a single family office, and number 2, a multi-family office. A single family office caters to one family, and that is it. And then a multi-family office provides the same services as a single family office, but they serve multiple families without having to worry about the admin issues, relating to running a family office. Guess what? A family office is like another, you're setting up a different company. Do you understand? So how you start a family office is how you start a business, really, in terms of what you need to put in place, the legal entity, the human capital, the financial capital, everything that you will require to start a business are the things that you also think about when you want to set up a family office. But whether or not you have the bandwidth to handle all of that is part of the decisions that you have to make on whether you choose a single family office or a multi-family office. Interestingly, I have set up and run a single family office for one of the wealthy African business owners in Nigeria, right, on a no-name basis, right? And I did run their family office for about 7 years before I left to set up a multi-family office, which I run with another partner of mine. Now, why did this family, in this case, the single family office was actually catering to 2 families who did business together, right, and jointly held certain assets and businesses. Now, in this case, certain things were important to them. Number one was confidentiality. They had managed their affairs in a way that was strictly very confidential, and they wanted it to remain that way. But they needed to put a structure around that management because things had now really, really grown, some significant, assets and wealth portfolio, right? And so there was need to put structure behind it, but it needed to be very, very confidential, right? Number 2, what was important for these 2 families also was control, right? By virtue of their investment philosophy, they like to be in control. And so they needed to have a structure that they have a lot of control over, right? And so for them, that was a key determining factor. Number 3 was the fact that the principles, right, of these families were really very, very hands-on people, very knowledgeable, very well-traveled, very exposed, and so it made sense for them to want to be involved in the family office, right? And they were still quite young. They were in their early 50s, or maybe just about 50, at the time. So they still had a lot of time. They had the energy, they were very involved. And so it just meant that it had to be a single family office because they just and because of the sheer amount of work that the family office was going to be doing, right? It just made sense for everything to be in it because value versus cost, by the time we did the analysis, it just made sense, right? And then, of course, there are other people who, by the level of wealth they have, may not necessarily consider a single family office because you have many businesses that you're still struggling to manage. You don't want to add another one, and you don't want to be the one looking to hire people, to manage people, to demand performance and all of that, right? You just want to be served, really. So you just want to take that burden off you and you want to plug into an existing system that gives you access to a body of professional advisors locally and globally, and you're able to get whatever you need done, right? And you still get all the services that a single family office would have offered you anyway. And the beautiful part of it is that you get it for a fraction of the cost you will have incurred if you were running the single family office, in which case you will be the only client that office will be serving, right? So that's the difference. In the multi-family office, you get to enjoy economies of scale. You get to enjoy reduced cost of administration, right? Or cost of service that comes to you, but you still get everything that you would have gotten if you were running your own single family office. I hope it's making sense and I hope we're learning. I know the concepts might be a bit new to a lot of us, so just take a lot of notes, prepare your questions. I'm sure I'll be able to answer a few before we go. All right, I'm learning. Okay, fabulous. Thank you. Why do you need a family office? Already I said that most of us are still in our wealth creation phase. But as you're thinking and doing all the things that help you to create wealth, think also about wealth preservation. The reason those families that we mentioned at the beginning of this session, the reason those families are no more today was because there was no wealth preservation at the back of their minds when they were building wealth, when they were creating wealth. And so there was no structure in place such that by the time the founding generation left the scene, things just went as it went. And, the story is what it is today. How can you ensure that your own family is among the 10% that does not have this same story that we shared at the beginning? You need a family office that will focus on managing that wealth. Do you see? You have several businesses that you're engrossed in as a business owner, for instance. You have several investments that you've done that you're overseeing. At some point, that's why I say when the wealth gauge, the thing will get to a point where you can't possibly handle everything with the level of, with the level of skill and attention that it requires. And that is why when we're sitting with families that have billions of naira worth of real estate, they can't remember where some of these real estate assets are. And in cases where they even remember, some of those assets are idle, non-yielding, right? And then you wonder, what is going on? Why is it that this is this way? The question is that the founding generation is now old, maybe in their 80s. They don't have the strength to run around anymore. The children who they've not intentionally groomed and probably are not aware, or even if they are aware, they are uninterested, they've gone ahead to do other things in their own lives. They cannot be running after family wealth, right? Or family assets, either for the sake of, oh, I don't want to appear as though, I have an interest and I want something for myself, or I don't just want to get involved in family matter, I just want to be on my own. And I've heard that from a lot of second generation wealth owners, right? Where they're like, you know what, I don't want problem. Before they will now think that, I want to do something with the family wealth. So they just get disinterested, right? And so the old man is there. He can't really put his eyes on everything anymore. And so things just begin to, lay idle. And whether you like it or not, you're losing wealth gradually. Your wealth is beginning to lose value. Do you see? But if you have a family office that have the professionals whose job is to ensure, their KPI is to ensure that your wealth continues to grow, from time to time, periodically you're doing, you're sitting with them, you're having meetings, they have the responsibility of looking over the total universe of your asset. Now, there is even globalization of assets. This generation is one generation that now invests all over the world. Doctor was talking about, investment in Dubai, investment in the UK, in US, in Nigeria, all over Africa, right? So a time will come where you will not be able to even cope or keep up with some of these things. There must be a dedicated firm that is looking over all of your assets. And this one, we're still talking about real estate. It can be other types of assets because there are many asset classes. You can be investing in alternative investments, private equity, VC, other alternative investments in art, in other real assets, that are not properties. So you invest in a yacht, you invest in an airplane, invest in gold, invest in artwork, invest in wine. I mean, those are the kind of investments that people have. Those are the kind of investments that people have. And this is apart from financial assets, which can be Euro bonds, mutual funds, investment in hedge funds, investment in different types of, structured notes. I mean, just name it. There are plenty. Stock market. Do you see? And then investment in businesses. That is businesses that you're not running, that other people are running. So you could be investing in a VC that is investing in all these businesses, or you could be making direct investments, in those businesses, or you're investing through a private equity vehicle. Again, so it's important for you to realize that there are so many asset classes that if your wealth is diversified enough, if your portfolio is diversified enough, it will get to a point where it can be a lot to handle. It can be a lot to track. It can be a lot to even ensure that you are demanding the best performance possible. There are many people that invest in different things, but there's no opportunity for them to even see the universe of their wealth. There's a question that I usually ask people, especially wealthy people, and I would say, what's your net worth? A lot of people don't know. And it's important for you to know. There are several assets that we've invested in that we don't even know the value of the assets. Those are things that you will need to be able to keep your tabs on. You will need to be able to determine, how can I leverage my asset to create more wealth? We're speaking to a client right now, and we're talking about securitization of their asset. They have a huge real estate portfolio. and there's a project they want to do and they're looking for funding and they're saying maybe they should go to the bank. I'm like, what? Why? Why do you have to get a bank loan when you have this body of real estate asset? How about you speak to professionals that can help you securitize this asset, and then on the back of that, you can raise funds? Do you see? And those are the kind of sophisticated, tailored solutions that can be created for you when you have a family office that has the professionals, best-in-class professionals that can give you the best of advice. I had a meeting with a very prominent family yesterday. You know, they are invested in one of the stores, these big stores in Nigeria. I don't want to name names, you know, so that you don't know the people I'm talking about, but they are one of the biggest investments, one of the biggest retail store outlets in Nigeria, right? And we were having this conversation with them and they were saying, oh, they've always thought that you needed to have some cash stocked somewhere. That if you don't have XYZ amount of cash, you can't consider a family office. And I said to them, see, it's not cash that makes you. When you're having a family office or you're considering having one, you have to look at the totality of your asset, your net worth as a family, as an individual, right? So you're not going to, a lot of business owners don't even keep cash in that sense or keep money in liquid form, right? A lot of their money goes into illiquid asset. If the money is not, you know, put back in the business, it is going into another illiquid asset like a real estate, right? So very few people keep money in form of cash. So that's not the benchmark for whether you should start a family office or not. But when you look at the totality of your wealth and you realize that you're going somewhere and that your wealth is purposeful and that you want to build a legacy and that you want to plan actively for your succession, especially if you have family businesses that are a significant part of your wealth, then you should consider a family office. Okay. One of the things that I say generally to people is that if you have $2 million investable fund, you're due for a family office. You could subscribe to a family office. And I think what makes it a lot look like something that is out of reach is when you feel like you need to set up a single family office. Just have this office that is serving only you. It can look far-fetched. It can look like maybe it's the Hotel Dollars or the, you know, people, I mean, the names that we know, Tony Elumelu and people like that maybe it's those people that can have a family office. But no, that is why we have a multi-family office that can serve very many families who maybe have not attained the level of wealth that can allow them consider a single family office, because it can really be, you know, quite a big deal in terms of putting one together. The cost of administration, depending on the type of family that you are and the kind of things that you want the family office to do for you, can be a bit, you know, expensive, right, to run, because it means that you are hiring everybody that you need. You hire your lawyer, you hire your accountant, you hire your estate planner, you hire your tax planner, you hire your lifestyle concierge people, you hire everybody. I mean, really, sometimes it can be a bit too much, you know, in terms of the cost of doing that. So I have already talked about wealth creation and preservation. In terms of preservation, you have to already start to think about what that looks like. What kind of structure would you need to put in place? Do you need a trust? You know, do you need a foundation? You know, there are different types of legal entities that can be set up, sometimes even an SPV, a holding company. And the reality of that also is that, like I said earlier on, where tax can become an issue, you want to think about which jurisdiction, you know, you want to set it up, or you want to consolidate your asset in. Again, those are conversations that make it important for you to consider a family office. Number 2 is succession planning. A lot of us have not really done the active work of engaging the next generation, especially for those of us that run family businesses, and we want our family businesses to remain in the family. Some people, it's just a wish that they express because they think that their kids are coming to run the family business. And you will wake up and realize your kids are not coming to run the family business. They're not interested. Maybe you've not even made it interesting to them. You never really engaged them. You haven't really institutionalized the business. It's not structured. So it's not exciting. Remember, you've sent your kids abroad to go and study, or you've sent them to some private universities to go and study, and then they come out of school and you expect them to come back to your mom and pop business that you have not really structured properly. You know, it's not enticing and exciting to them, right? So you have to ensure that you put certain things in place that will make it exciting for them. You have to have been very, very intentional and deliberate in how you groom them and get them, you know, indoctrinated in understanding what the business is about, get their interest and all that. Succession planning is a big deal, both at the family level and even at the business level, right? Who is going to be your successor? For you, the business owner, that's food for thought. You have to start to think about it. If you're no longer going to be able to run the business from today, who is the next in line to take over from you, right? So again, those are questions, and that's what a family office will facilitate. Number 3 is legacy preservation, which I already talked about. Now, your legacy is not just about the wealth, financial wealth, but also your stories, your values, the things that must be preserved within the family, the things that are important for the family that must be preserved. Okay. Now, what are the considerations when you consider setting up a family office? Number 1 is the family's objective and their values. What are the things that are important to you as a family? What are the things that you're trying to achieve with your own family wealth? Again, if your wealth does not have purpose, guess what? It stands the risk of falling into the 90% that I shared earlier. Okay. So you have to start by defining your overall family objective, your values, your vision. What are the long-term goals of your wealth, right? Even the succession planning that I talked about. A lot of families now embrace philanthropy. They give to charity, or they set up structures that allow them to give back to the society, right? If that thing is being done in your generation, because you are the one driving and actively, running it, by the next generation, will it continue? Do you want it to be part of what your family will be represented by, right? So there must be a very deliberate indoctrination of the next generation to be able to carry on such good work. And then, of course, even how your family is governed. So you have to understand the core principles that guide the structure and the operations of a family office that can help you achieve these objectives. Number 2 is your wealth size and complexity. You need to consider the size and complexity of your family wealth. Larger and more diversified assets may require a more comprehensive family office with specialized professionals to manage these investments, to manage your taxes, to manage your legal matters, and other financial aspects. In this time, this generation, a lot of us have second citizenships. What that means is that for tax purposes, you're not going to be bothered only about taxes for your company. Your personal taxes are going to be very important. You may be filing multiple taxes just by nature of how you conduct your activities, even as an individual and citizen of several nations, right? So it's important that somebody is looking into your personal taxes, personal income taxes that need to be filed in all the nations where you are a citizen, and we've had to, run through that for some of, for the principals that I work with, filing taxes in other parts of the world, on their behalf. There is the complexity of a family structure. Some families are very simple, father, mother, and children, and that is it. It's not that simple for some other families. Families where husband has maybe 3 wives, each wife has maybe like 3, 4 kids, and then maybe there's another person somewhere that gave birth to another child, but is not really married to them. But the child also has an interest in, the father's assets and all that. Or maybe there's some adopted family members that, grew up with us. We adopted them with, they took care of our own kids. And so we adopted them as part of our family. And maybe they even started working with us in our own business. So in a way, we've adopted them sharp. So again, so you can imagine that different branches are beginning to emerge, right, in the family. And if you have a very complicated family structure, then you must necessarily have a family office, which is really the neutral, structure that allows you to be able to do good by every branch of the family. Number 4 is your governance structure. You have to determine the governance structure of your family, right, and of the family office. I was sharing with the family I told you that I met this weekend, and I was explaining to them what family governance looks like. Within the family, especially for large families, you need to have your own board of directors, in a sense, at the family level, which is what we call owners' council. And these are the people that make decisions on behalf of the family, and they make decisions that, relates to how the family businesses are administered, what investments need to be done, what assets or investments we need to divest from, which businesses we need to sell or assets we need to sell, and then the money repurposed into some other project or some other thing. So those decisions are made at that level, and that governance structure is what keeps everybody together. It's what drives how decisions are made, what are the roles and responsibility of everybody within the family, how you're able to establish clear lines of communication, what are the policies, what are the guidelines, what are the rules within the family. I mean, you will have to set rules. So for instance, one of your rules could be that for anybody in the family to come and work in the family business, you must have gone to school, you must have your BSc at a minimum. So if that is a rule, then that's definitely going to be part of your family constitution. If one of your rule is that for you to be a beneficiary of the returns of this family or the estate, then you must never marry 2 wives. Okay, or you must never have a child out of wedlock. Okay, so if you marry or if you have a child out of wedlock, that child will not be a part of the family estate, meaning they will not get to benefit. So different families have their own different things that is important to them, right? And so for you, you also have to decide what those things are for you as well. Think about internal and external management. Are people in the family going to be the people running the family office? Meaning, are the family members going to be the ones managing things internally? Or is it going to be externally managed, as in the case of a multi-family office where you have professionals? Or even if you have a single family office, is it going to be a mix of family members and people that you will hire, from outside? Again, those are conversations that you definitely need to have. In terms of cost of administration, I mentioned that earlier. You have to think about what it will cost you to run that office, vis-a-vis the benefit that you seek to get. So do the cost benefit analysis and make sure that it makes sense for you. And of course, lastly, is talent and expertise, where you need to hire or engage professionals with the right expertise and experience to run the family office effectively. Now, this may include investment managers, financial planners. I remember Doctor was mentioning the other time, telling someone about their business that they need to get a CFO. There's a level of expertise you need to get into your business to be able to make the best decisions that maximizes, the worth of your wealth or the value of your wealth, and make sure that your business makes decisions that continues to amplify that value. Okay, so it's important that you consider all of these things. We're getting close to the end, so just start preparing your questions. I'm sure you may have a few, and I'll be able to take them as we wrap up. Now, what are the key questions that you should ask when you're creating when you're creating a family office? Now, these are some of the questions that we ask people when they want to engage us. When I say us, I mean my firm, in terms of helping them to set up their family office. One of the first questions we ask is, why is the family office being created? The answer to this question should serve as your mission statement, and that's really what is going to guide the future decisions regarding that family office and how that family office would also run. Like I said, we usually ask this question, and why every story is different. Most of them focus on the desire to have a process that the family can trust, the family can control, that keeps the family working together towards a common purpose. Most of the time when people, try to share with us why they want to do this thing, for some people it's to be able to manage risks, in the family business, in the family estate. And the risk could range from investment risk even to reputational risk, right? They want to have a family office that can respond to that can manage things proactively and reactively, as the case may be. For some people, it's for them to be able to access and process their investments, their taxes, and maybe family information more effectively than if it's a family member that is running these things. In some cases, it's even to protect the family members from people that are just not trustworthy, and even from themselves in some cases, So again, you have to establish the why, which is really the purpose of what it is that you're trying to do. Number 2 is who will be involved in the family office. Now, for wealth creators, this question is often very easy to answer because usually they would think of the family office as it being intended to serve them and their children. Now, if the family office is established to serve the interests of the family in the long run, you need to then begin to think about who are likely going to be the future participants. Because there's a sense in which you're like, it's just me, my wife, and my children. Just like doctor said, that if I die, who is going to take over the reign of things? It's my wife. Okay? God forbid. I know that maybe Herbert will have said something like that, even though he had a family office. But there were certain things that he probably thought, outside me is my wife, and it's my wife that will take over, or it's my wife that has access to this information. It's just me and my wife. But hey, both of them are no more. So again, things happen in life, right? And that is why these sort of structures exist, okay? Because sometimes it's not as simple as we often think about it. Many family offices define this, from, the wealth creating generation as being people who will be involved in the family office, the founding generation, and their children and their grandchildren. While it is that simple, you may also need to think about things like, spouses. What about when your children begin to have wives and husbands? Do they become part of the family? Who is family? As far who is, family enough to be part of what is going on in running the family estate, in managing the family wealth? Are the spouses of your wives part of it? What about adopted family members? What about step siblings? What about former spouses? Maybe you divorce, you marry another one. Does the former spouse still qualify? Does the children of the former spouse, do they qualify? In some cases, maybe in-laws and maybe non-family members that have now become family, those kind of people that they've worked with you for so long, you sort of adopted them and co-opted them as part of your family. Again, these are things that you need to think about. And in some cases, it may even require regulatory filing, okay, to regularize those things. The other thing is, what are the services that the family office will provide to you or provide to the family? Typically, family offices will provide things like services like investment management, tax and estate planning, orderly succession for family-owned businesses, and also things like charitable giving, right? These are really like the common services, legal work, legal paperwork, due diligence on behalf of the family, right? And even information management, especially now that families are dispersed across several, countries around the world, right? So typically, families must have an information management system that allows them to be able to get information across to people. When I say information, things that relate to the business, information that relates to the family businesses, decisions that need to be made about them, timely report in terms of the performance of these businesses and all whatnot. The other part is also, what is the appropriate legal entity? Again, now this and where should it be? Where should it be located? I did mention the other time that tax is a major consideration when you have a certain level of wealth, right? And so some people will favor certain tax havens to put their businesses or to set up their family office or to consolidate their wealth in those places, because either ways they know that they'll be protected from huge taxes. So some people favor tax jurisdictions that have less tax regulations, right? You also have to think about restrictions on foreign exchange, especially in Nigeria, for instance. Again, these are very fine details that you have to think about. So sometimes people prefer their family offices to be set up closer to where the family business is, or maybe closer to where the family is. So if your family is not where the family business is, then you have to think about what is more important as far as how you want the family office to serve the family, okay? And then what will be the governance and decision-making structure between the family and the family businesses? If you have businesses that are very well structured, very well institutionalized, maybe they have their own board members, they make decisions. The question is, how does a family handshake with the family businesses? I want you to think beyond you now today, where you are everywhere. You are the same everywhere. You are the same in the family, making decisions. You are the same in the business, making decisions. Remove yourself from the equation and ask yourself, How are these institutions going to run? Your family as an institution, your businesses as institutions. How will business decision making? How will it happen? How will governance happen between the family and the business? Where is going to be that handshake? Again, these are questions that are very, very important when you are creating your family office. Now, what do? My company is Junior Family Office. It's a multi-family office, meaning we provide these services that would otherwise have been provided in a single family office. We provide it to multiple families, okay? I will help you bypass the initial cost of setup, the initial huge cost of administration where you have to hire everybody, hire all the professional advisors, hire, everyone that you need and set up the infrastructure to run the system. We already have that, set up. All you have to do is plug and play. We guide families towards multi-generational prosperity because we help them to avoid the financial, emotional, and relationship breakdown that happens in the examples that we cited earlier on that has led to many families, wealthy families, losing their wealth, and we cannot even relate with them in just the second generation. Our services are designed to help your family avoid wealth loss, relationship breakdowns, and gambling with the entire family legacy. We're not just your financial advisors. Our services focus on the 95% of causes that result in families failing financially over multiple generations. So allow us to help your family to become one of only 10% of families that will achieve multi-generational financial success. I don't know if we have any questions at this point in time. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Fantastic. Can we please just celebrate in the chat section? Let's appreciate this wealth of knowledge that we've just been gifted. Thank you so much, ma'am. And that was fantastic. I have a question. I'll leave the questions and then I'll check if anybody has a question. Is there a threshold? I don't know if you shared if there was a threshold to say, once your money hits this level, you should definitely have a family office.
Okay, I think I mentioned that. I did mention that if you have $2 million investable fund, you should actively think about it. But let's even say that the whole of your wealth right now is the $2 million, dollar, the $2 million mark that I mentioned. You can also still start to have those conversations. Again, that is why you have opportunity to plug into a multi-family office that can handhold you. So ideally, the way these things work in other parts of the world is that you've made money, like the family has made money, and then you can now set up an office to manage it. But in this part of the world where we are all still on that journey, right? I remember I went for a family office exchange conference in New York in 2019. And in that conference, we were just two people that were Blacks, that were from Africa. Every other person was from Middle East, Asia, Europe, US. And I saw families that were already in their 16th generation, in their 9th generation. There were people there. And for me, that was really fascinating. What has happened over 9 generations? Can you imagine it? It blew my mind. But you see, in Africa, it's really tough to see any wealth passing the 2nd generation. It's very tough. Do you see? So that's why we say, while you are still in your creation stage, let's hold your hand. Let's help you to build the right structure. Again, we don't want to, because this service is the exclusive of, is a very exclusive service. So it's not something, you must have a sizable level of wealth, really, for you to say an office should come and be looking after it for you, right? Because again, you have to look at the cost benefit of that, right? But I'm saying that even with not as much as the huge, wealth that we see with the likes of Tony Elumelu and Dangote, you don't have to get to that level before you think of, planning your wealth in a very structured way and with the future, with being able to pass it on to the next generation in mind. Some of us hold our wealth today in a form that it will be tough for the next generation to access it. Haven't you wondered why there are instances where a man dies and then his children cannot access his wealth, and then families from the village will be claiming something that somebody has sat on for 25 years, drinking gari, drinking everything, building it painstakingly with blood, sweat, and tears? It's because people do not intentionally create their wealth with structure that will not allow anybody to touch it. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, nobody can really just come and say they're taking over your assets. You must put it in a structure that allows the people that you have designated as the beneficiaries of your asset to be the ones benefiting from it. Some of us are very, I mean, maybe not some of us, but some people can be very careless with a lot of these things. They just put it in the back burner. We're chasing bread and butter every day. We forget. And then all our sweat, our blood, and tears now goes to somebody else just because we failed to put the right structure behind it. Do you see? So back to your question, you don't have to have the wealth of those people that I mentioned to be able to access this kind of services. Even if you're still very much on that journey, you can get advice that can help you build better.
Thank you very much. So I'll go to a question here, and it was posted anonymously. Question 1, at this stage of building wealth and yet to attain the 2 million investable capital to have a family office, what can one begin to do now at this stage of building wealth? And I think you already answered it, so I'll move to question 2. Does a trust serve the same purpose as a family office?
No, they're not. They're two different things. You can have a trust and still have a family office. As a matter of fact, your family office can help you to set up a trust. A trust is pretty much a structure that helps you to hold your asset. But the trust will not make decisions as per how your family business should be run in the event that you're no longer there. A trust cannot sit as a nominal director representing your interests on other businesses that you have invested in. Do you see? Ensuring that your family's interest is protected. A trust cannot sit with your children, the next generation, and plan for their education, which is part of what a family office does. So the education of the next generation is important. And education is not just 4 walls of a classroom. So let's say that you're building wealth and your wealth is growing, you're investing in a lot of other businesses as well. And at some point, you need to start nominating people to sit on the board of those businesses, because only you cannot be the one sitting as a board member representing your interest in those businesses. Your children need to learn financial literacy. They need to be able to understand how to read a financial statement. They need to understand how to contribute at board meetings, how to make deliberations, how to probe, how to ask questions, how to conduct themselves, how to read in between the lines. Do you see? And this is education that we give the children. Mentorship, deliberate mentorship of the children as well. The kind of exposures that they need to have that will build their mind and will help them to become responsible wealth owners. You see, what we're seeing in this generation is interesting. We've seen second generation, as in children of wealthy families, who don't want to have anything to do with the family wealth because they're just overwhelmed with the sheer obligation of managing huge wealth. Okay? So they want the money, but they don't want the work that creates the money. They don't want to be burdened with all of the things that daddy and mommy have been doing. They want to just do their own thing and not be bothered, So it's interesting, and that intentionality in grooming the next generation sits within the family office. Yeah, so a trust can do that for you.
Thank you so very much. In the absence of any other question, because I don't see any in the Q&A section.
Someone say, what is the charge for setting up a family office? It's not so much about the charge, because you need to be profiled. You need to, we need to understand what it is you're trying to build. If you understand what I mean. So it's not a product. Do you understand? It's not a product that we can say, okay, just bring 1 million naira, we'll do it for you. No. It's not like that.
I mean, just to add to that question on a lighter, cheeky note, if you're asking for the price, then maybe you're not ready yet.
Really?
But that's on a very light and cheeky note. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been quite exciting, quite enlightening. And if there's one thing I love about what you shared, it is that you acknowledge that majority of us are still in our wealth creation stage. We're still trying to get it together. We're still trying to build it. We're still trying to, become the Dangotes and the Dantatas, and we're trying to get there. But one big takeaway is the information, the knowledge, right? If the generations that sort of lost their wealth had this information, had this training, had this webinar, perhaps they would have taken different actions that would have preserved their wealth. So it's very important that we take on this knowledge so that as we create, as we build, as we begin to hit those thresholds, we know not to save this for last. We know how to, plug into the family office system that will help us create the structure, help us preserve our wealth. And as we've heard, it's not just about your generation. It is for your children, your children's children, their families, their own children, up until whatever generation. I know as you were sharing your experience about the event in New York, I was like, even the family office will need its own family office. Because if it's 17 generations, maybe that's another family office in itself, because obviously somebody died and maybe handed over to their child to take over the family office business and da-da-da. Thank you so much. And I think we'll take a very short break. In the meantime, we still want you to share your testimonials, okay? Go on social media. This is how we know you appreciate the effort that has gone into this conference. This is how we know that you value the information, the knowledge that you've been given at no cost. So we want you to go on social media and share your testimonials with the hashtags GWFC 2024 and GWFC, okay? We'll take a short break and then we'll come back to close the event, or just for the home run for this event this evening. Thank you.
Transform your life with Dr. Stephen Akintayo's empowering books. From financial management to entrepreneurial strategies, these books are your blueprint for success. Get all 5 books for a discounted price and receive 6 additional books for free. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. Use coupon code COUPLE and visit www.stephenakintayo.com GFFC Piromo to order now.
This is Jasper Ibeju Lekki. Five years ago, this estate right here, a plot was selling for 7.5 million. But in 2024, guess what? It is selling at 60 million naira. Don't be surprised. That's how land banking works. Right now, if you want to get a plot right here, because it is still appreciating, because it hasn't reached its full potential yet. We have 5 plots available, very limited. You know Ibeju Lekki, you know what's happening. Now I am introducing to you a new property on the block, which is called Garnet Estate Ibeju Lekki, which is currently on its pre-launch stage. And the best time to invest in any realty or landed property is when it's on its pre-launch, right? You're going to be making a whooping sum of 35 million naira extra if you invest now. Guess what? It is selling at 50 million naira for 1 plot. And if you're buying up to 6 plots, you will be getting it at 10 million naira a plot, a total sum of 60 million naira, and you know how much you've saved. Why don't you do so right now and call the number showing on your screen to take advantage of this offer? If you want to take advantage of this Jasper currently ongoing, why don't you text Jasper to the number showing on your screen? Or rather, if you want to get Garnet, why don't you text Garnet to the number showing on your screen?
Welcome back, everybody. I mean, can we just get some reactions, some comments in the chat box? I know that you've just been trying to digest all that you've heard, all that information, all the insights. So can we just see some excitement in the chat box? Perhaps share some of the things you wrote down. What are your biggest takeaways from this session so far? Put it in the chat box. Let's see that you are actually taking something away. In short, share with us what you would like to share in your testimonial that you post on social media. What do you plan to share in that testimonial? Drop it here. Let's learn together. Perhaps I missed something and I can catch it from what you share, or perhaps you missed something and you will catch it from what someone else shares. So I'll be in the chat box just reading a few comments. We're in our wealth creation stage and we're excited. Yes, yes, yes. This conference has been a blessing. That's John speaking. Oluwaseun says, obviously DSA is truly raising billionaires. Amazing, amazing. I see a lot of heart emojis, dancing emojis, fire emojis, love struck emojis. That's really, really amazing. I mean, how many of you are excited for the next session? Who can't wait for the next session? Omoyemi says, today's lectures are value overload, full of new information. That's good. It means you've just created new neural pathways. You've just learned something new. Your brain has just expanded. You're now a bit more intelligent than when you joined this conference this afternoon stroke evening. Odubemi says, wealth building is strategic and not accidental. Absolutely. Never accidental. It doesn't just fall from the sky. It doesn't fall from the sky. I'm excited for the next. My brain has definitely expanded. Yes, that's what we want to hear. Ultimately, the reward for the organizers in putting this conference together is to raise more wealthy people, is to raise more millionaires, because then you can go and buy property. If you don't have money, how will you buy property? And if you don't have money, how are you going to take care of your children and your children's children? How are you going to break Africa free from this stronghold of poverty and backwardness? Right? So we need you to get the tools, get the knowledge, get the strategies to break out of poverty, build your wealth, preserve your wealth, right? And put Africa in its rightful place. Put Nigeria, for starters, or whichever nation you come from, put that nation in its rightful place. How many of you like your MC so far? How many of you like your MC? Is your MC carrying you along? Is she doing a good job? Let's see that in the chat box as well. Yay, Omoyemi says, yes, so awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. It's been exciting doing this with you and just being a part of this journey with you. When you finally make that $2 million mark, you remember that there was one nice MC that was moderating the whole thing and she was there. So perhaps I would have opened my TV station by that time and interview you, right? Oluwaseun says, Maya, your energy is compelling. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. All right. So you don't forget, right? Just a reminder, we need those testimonials, okay? So use your hashtags as I've shared on social media. When you do share, tag the organizers, tag Dr. Steven, tag Mrs. Adediro, tag me, tag, the GTEx handles, tag as many people as possible so you can get reposted, you can get a share, and more people can, benefit from what you share. There's still the evening session, which is 7 p.m. WAT and 10 p.m. when it's GST. That's if you're in Dubai, it's 10 p.m. If you're in West Africa, it is 7 p.m. All right, that is one session you do not want to miss. If you plan on attending that session, I want you to chat there and say, I'll be there. Okay, I'll be there, because this is not all of it. This is not all of it. The next session is coming. It's going to be packed. It's going to be powerful. And we need to know that you'll be there, because if you don't come, then what's the point? I'll be there. I want to see everybody. We have about 50 people that I need to see. I need to see at least 50 comments saying I'll be there. All right. I need to see 50 at least. 50 comments saying I'll be there. If you haven't dropped any comments since this session started, this is a good time, okay, to drop a comment. Let's see your name. I talk about personal branding and it's about showing up. And as they say, best known is better than best. You can be the best at something, but if nobody knows you, you're just best in your pocket. So we need to see your name. If you haven't dropped any comment, this is the time to at least drop a comment and say, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Again, it is 7 p.m. West African time and 10 p.m. GST. That's for those of you who are in the Middle East, particularly UAE, Dubai, and all the other Emirates in the UAE. It's 10 p.m. I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Steven Akintayo and his entire team for having me be a part of the conference today. It has been exciting spending my evening with you and also learning, okay? So I didn't just help to moderate and bring the event together. I've also learned so much. So I'd like to say thank you. Again, I'm happy to connect with you. I see that some of you have already followed me on Instagram. Thank you Feel free to engage. Let's chat. Let's see how we can continue to build this community of wealthy families. Okay. All right. I think that's about it. I don't know if Dr. Stephen has a final word or something, any final words. If not, we can call it a wrap, and then we'll be back at 10 p.m. or 7 p.m., depending on your time zone. Yes, one more thing very important. As we all heard, Dr. Stephen shared that his dear wife, who was supposed to also take a session, was not able to, or is not able to, because she lost her father. So please find Mrs. Bisi Akintayo on Instagram, on LinkedIn, find out on all the platforms, and let's bombard her with love, okay? Send your love to her. Go into her chat box, go into her DM, go onto her pictures, just find out on any platform. She's very findable, very discoverable. So you can't miss her. Mrs. Bisi Akintayo, please go send her your love. Tell her you're praying for her. Tell her you're sending her warm hugs. Tell her it'll be well with her. Tell her God will comfort her. Just send all that love to her and tell her that we miss her at the session today. But of course, we have to respect that she's grieving at this time and she needs to take a step back so that when she comes back again, she comes back with full force and with full power and impact. Yes, I'm seeing questions. Am I on LinkedIn? Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on every platform except Snapchat. Find me, Mayowa Adegoke, or you can find me at the Lady Mayowa. I'll just put it in the chat box, okay? And then we call it a wrap. The Lady Mayowa, any Lady Mayowa that doesn't look like me, it's not the original. I'm the only one. It's the Lady Mayowa. So you can find me on all platforms. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. And I'll see you at the top.
Hi. Hello. We do the mandatories. We hustle. We go with the flow. Because there's an out, a reward, at the end of it that's just minutes away from all of this. In fact, if you're like me, there's one at the end of every day. These sights, these sounds, this is what makes it all worth it. Being away from it all, but still being at the heart of it. Some of us need to find our next escape. Some of us, well, always have it. Shoba Heartland 2, the epitome of waterfront living.
Hello everyone, my name is Goke Olabokunle, the CEO of GTEX and Associates. GTEX and Associates is actually the brokerage arm of GTEX Holdings. What we basically do is we raise and bring up brokers to be able to sell our property. And the most juicy part of it is that you can make as much as 10% on all our properties that you sell. Imagine you make a sales of about 10 million naira, you make a percentage of 10%. That is 1 million going up to you in about 72 hours that you make that sales. Imagine you make a sales of 30 million naira. That is 3 million naira being credited to you. And we make this happen within 72 hours. Fantastic, they will say, right? And the most interesting part of it again is that we also compensate you with several incentives like cars, like household, and also important aspect of it again is that you also have incentive to also travel on tour with us outside the country. You also have the opportunity to also leverage on our training with Dr. Stephen Akintayo. You don't want to miss it. Guys, if you're there watching right now, just pick up your phone, reach out to us on this contact below, then we'll make it happen for you. Thank you.
GTEX and Associates. I buy and make others buy.
Hello everyone. On May 1st, 2024, we're going to be having a train and road tour to our estate in Abeokuta, Burial Polo Estate, and White House Estate in Aton. So listen to this part, guys. It's going to be fun-filled. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have our ambassadors and celebrities there. I'm sure you don't want to miss this. We've done this before. and we've carved out a way to do it in a much more better and more exciting way. So for all my associates out there, I'm calling on you today. Let's make fun and make money together. See you guys. Thank you.
GTEX and Associates. I buy and make others buy.
Life will treat you well as long as you get out of the crowd. So tap your neighbor, say, neighbor, get out of the crowd. Just get out. And you will be shocked that everybody really wants to work with you. And the universe is ready to favor you. Get out of the what? The crowd.
GTEX and Associates. I buy and make others buy.